In today's video, I'm sharing what's for dinner this week. On busy family weekday nights, we love a one-pot meal. Less dishes for mom to clean up later. But instead of just having leftovers, I'm gonna take our leftovers, put a little twist on them, and make a brand new meal for dinner tonight. It's so nice to have a thick and creamy soup that isn't enhanced by using creams and cream cheese. Yep, black beans. Okay. Push that. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm sharing what's for dinner this week. If you're new to my channel, hey, I'm Lauren. I'm the mom of a family of 4. On my channel, I share a lot about my health journey, as well as just good, healthy, and affordable family cooking. So the first recipe up for this week is a classic roast chicken. And honestly, this has to be one of my all-time favorite meals. It's easy, it's simple ingredients, but when done well, it is so tasty and delicious. I started out by roughly chopping up 2 white onions and about 2.5 pounds of washed red potatoes. You want everything about the same size so it cooks down evenly. And I layered those into the bottom of my Dutch oven, which I lightly oiled with avocado oil spray. I also peeled and chopped 2 large carrots into some thick, rustic style carrot sticks. Layering those into the pot as well. All of these veggies are gonna help add flavor to our chicken. And then as they cook down and soak in all the delicious herbs and juices, we'll serve those on the side as our vegetable. I rinsed and patted dry my whole chicken. This one came in right around 6 pounds, so it's actually a pretty large chicken. I stuffed the cavity with a whole lemon chopped up into pieces, as well as a few chunks of leftover white onion. And then to season up our chicken, I have half a stick of salted butter. I chopped mine up into chunks so it would come to room temperature quicker. You want this room temperature. We're adding all of our seasonings to it, including garlic powder, thyme leaves, and some lemon pepper, as well as a hearty pinch of coarse sea salt. Mashing all of those herbs and seasonings in until we get a smooth compound butter. And then I'm just going in with my hands and lathering up this chicken from the outside in. You want to get it all over the top in every nook and cranny. And then we're also going to lift up the skin. You can use your hand to gently separate the skin away from the breast meat. We're gonna add some butter layered in between the skin and the breast of the chicken as well. Once she's all buttered up, I added her to my Dutch oven as well. My Dutch oven, it's a little bit small for this. I would have preferred a little bit of a larger one, but we're gonna make it work. I added about a cup of chicken broth. This is just gonna help add steam and get those vegetables to cook down. And since my Dutch oven's a little small, instead of using the lid, I'm gonna tent the whole thing tightly with foil to help keep the heat in. Within 10 minutes of prep time, my one-pot meal is in the oven at 375 degrees. I'm starting mine for an hour, but you wanna make sure you use a kitchen thermometer. Should reach 165 degrees Fahrenheit by the time it's finished cooking. This came out delicious, herby, lemony, juicy. We ate the chicken legs, as well as some of those cooked up veggies on the side and some French bread for dinner that night. Hey guys, so it has been a rainy, dreary day all day. So what's better tonight for dinner than soup? We had a good amount of leftovers from last night's dinner, the roast chicken, potatoes, and carrots meal. But instead of just having leftovers, I'm gonna take our leftovers, put a little twist on them, and make a brand new meal for dinner tonight. We're gonna do a creamy lemon chicken and rice soup. Soup is definitely something I think of more during the fall and winter time, but this creamy lemon soup is great for when you want a soup, but it's still summertime and warm out. The lemon is super fresh. And because I'm utilizing leftovers for this meal, it's gonna come together really quickly. Although if you wanted to do this as a fresh recipe and you don't have any leftovers to use, you can easily sub out the leftover roast chicken I'm using and use rotisserie chicken bought from the store, or even just some shredded chicken breast you popped in your crock pot earlier in the day. So from last night's roast chicken, I put in here all of our leftovers, the chicken, potatoes, carrots. From that, I went ahead and pulled out one whole chicken breast, as well as some of the carrots, because otherwise I would cook up raw carrots if I didn't have these, so we may as well get them used up. I also saved the broth I made when using the roast chicken. I had put this in a separate container and put it in the fridge overnight, and actually what happened was any of the grease or fat rose to the top, it created a solid, and I was able to scoop that off, and underneath is this delicious deep flavor roast chicken broth, because I had added broth to the base of my pot when roasting my chicken yesterday. So it's just like an enhanced flavor broth. You could also, again, just use a box of chicken broth. I'm probably gonna have to top this off with another 2 cups because we're gonna want 4 cups at least for this recipe. And then the new players to the game, I'm gonna be dicing up a whole yellow onion and using the juice of a whole lemon. We're gonna use a few eggs. That's gonna thicken our broth and make it nice and creamy without needing to add any sort of cream or cream cheese to this recipe. And then I'm gonna also use a cup of rice. Welcome to a real weeknight dinner cooking at my house. It is loud, it is crazy. The girls are over there playing, screaming. I think they're playing nicely. It's 5 o'clock, but Josh probably won't get home through traffic for another hour, hour and a half, hopefully in time to help me put the girls to bed. So welcome to the chaos. I'm pulling out my Dutch oven to use once again for this recipe, but any heavy bottomed pot for the stovetop will do. We're making this all on the stovetop today. It doesn't need to go into the oven, but that is why I like these Dutch oven pieces, is because they can transfer from the stovetop to into the oven without needing to dirty up another pot or dish. And I add in 1 diced up yellow onion and a heaping tablespoon of garlic, measure with your heart. I give that a saute over medium heat until it's translucent and fragrant. Mine took about 2 to 3 minutes. The next layer going in is that enhanced chicken broth along with an extra 2 cups of water. And once that came to a simmer, I added 1 cup of rice. Adding the lid, I turned the stove down to a low heat and let the rice cook in that delicious broth for about 15 minutes. While that gets cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and mix up our thickener that we're making with eggs and lemon juice. It's so nice to have a thick and creamy soup that isn't enhanced by using creams and cream cheese all the time. So I whisk up 2 eggs and I add the juice of a whole lemon, quickly whisk this together so the acid doesn't scramble your eggs. And once that rice is cooked al dente, I'm going to temper the eggs. And that just means adding a little bit of the hot broth into our egg mixture, whisking aggressively and adding a little more at a time just so the eggs start to warm up. Otherwise, if you add the eggs, which are cold or room temperature, into hot broth, you'll end up with scrambled eggs inside of your soup instead of a creamy broth. So just add a little bit of the broth, whisk it really well, and once it's a little bit warm in temperature, add it to your full pot of soup and stir it quickly. Soup is all about adding layers of flavor. So at this point, I'm going in with some pink Himalayan salt, some organic basil, and some lemon pepper. Last into the pot, I chopped up that 1 chicken breast we had left over from our roast chicken and that handful of carrots. These are already cooked through, so they just need to get added at the end to warm through. Give it a good stir, and a hearty pot of soup is ready for the family on the stove. Here comes Lila for a taste test on the creamy lemon chicken soup. Oh my, she's taking this very seriously. What'd you think?
I love it.
You love it? Wait, really?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Like it.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Lemony. Delicious?
Delicious.
All right, family approved. Now this soup is delicious as is, but I do love playing around with toppings on soups and stews and things. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of crumbled feta, some chopped up Greek Kamado olives, and a sprinkle of lemon pepper, just to really add some zip to this delicious, warm and yummy soup. Next up is a true family favorite, our rainbow turkey chili, we call it. This is a warm and hearty chili, but because there's so many chunky vegetables in it and the colors are bright, it still tastes fresh. Like most of the recipes shared today, I'm starting out by dicing a yellow onion and heating up my Dutch oven, which is apparently my favorite tool to use in the kitchen this week. But what can I say, on busy family weekday nights, we love a one-pot meal. Less dishes for mom to clean up later. I did give my pot a little spray of avocado oil just to help with things sticking. Added my diced onion into the pot. I let that cook down for about 3 minutes just to get some of that bite from the raw onion out. And then I added 1.5 pounds of ground lean turkey. And I'm gonna let that brown in my pot until it's cooked through. Okay. You think this smells good? Does it smell good? Smells pretty good. Next, adding a heaping tablespoon or 2 of minced garlic and a full packet of low sodium chili seasoning. I prefer the low sodium just because I like to adjust the salt taste to our preference. Then I diced up a raw green bell pepper. Drain and rinse, drain and rinse. Don't drain, don't drain. Everybody in the pot. All right, come on over. All right, little helper, be careful. This is hot. Do not touch the pot or the stove. If you want to help me, you can do the cans. These are all, the corn is drained and rinsed. So that one goes in, pour it in. Don't touch the stove. Yep, black beans. Okay. Don't touch the pot. Good job. Okay, try pouring it this way so you don't have to go over the lid of the can. Okay, so pick it up this way. With your hands. Pour it in. Don't touch the pot.
I can do it.
Okay. Good job! I got all the helpers today. You a helper? She's not feeling good. So she's a little attached to mama. It's a good thing we can do the rest of this one-handed. Then all you gotta do is give it a good stir and let it simmer on the stove top. I like to let mine go for at least 20 minutes. I did also decide to make up some buttermilk biscuits on the side for tonight. I actually just shared this recipe in a recent weekend vlog, which I will link in the iCard above. This is such a delicious recipe. The biscuits are buttery and fluffy and flaky. It's super simple and only a few ingredients. You have to try it. We topped ours with a little cheddar cheese and some plain non-fat Greek yogurt, which I use in place of sour cream, and dinner was done. The final recipe I'm sharing for this week is a 1-pan bacon-wrapped pork chops with apples and onions. This is one of my favorite fall dishes, and the first time I made it, I thought the combination of apples and onions, pork and bacon, cinnamon and salt was so odd sounding, but I'm telling you, everything just clicks and works together in this sweet and savory dinner dish. I started making thin slices of 1 yellow sweet onion. I avocado oil sprayed a 9x13 baking dish and then layered in those slices of onion. Similarly, I sliced thin 2 apples and removed the core and seeds. And added our second layer, which was thin apple slices across the whole bottom layer of the 9x13 pan. For seasoning, I went in with some pink Himalayan salt, some black pepper, some cinnamon, and just got a nice even sprinkle over the whole top layer. I also took 2 tablespoons of softened butter and just plopped little dollops all around. And then I'm going to take 2 pieces of bacon and wrap each pork chop and place them seam side down as best you can in the baking dish on top of the apples. This last step was optional, but I have really been liking this wood-fired garlic seasoning, and it brought a nice smokiness out of the bacon, so I just sprinkled a bit of that on top of the meat. And then this whole thing goes into the oven to bake at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes or until your pork is cooked through. You could serve this as your full meal with the cooked down apples and onions on the side. Because it was a bit of a toss-up as to whether the kids would enjoy this one, I also made some Spanish style rice and green beans on the side, so even if they weren't super into the pork, they would have something else to eat. But we're attempting to try new things while also serving them something familiar on the side. For the rice, I just followed the package instructions, and then for the green beans, I just steamed them simply in a pan on the stovetop and added some garlic, salt, and pepper. Once the pork has reached an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit, I then changed my oven over to a low broil. This is just to help crisp up that bacon. I broiled it for a couple minutes, watching it carefully so it didn't burn. Flipped it over to toast off the bacon on the other side of the pork, and then we plated it up. Thank you guys so much for watching What's for Dinner This Week video. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed it and want to see more like it. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next one. And until then, bye.